Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is another segment on the real pioneers of the dark colorism movement. It wasn't called darkism, as Rashida Strober changed it to. It was always the dark black movement. It's the black movement and the dark black movement. Um, like I said, Rashida, I'm always going to take you to school. You asked for it. So now we're going by this book. A lot of the stuff Rashida talks about, she learned. I'm pretty sure she learned this. I know she knows about these books. That's where she got all her content from when she was in school. She learned all this. She mixed it up together and then says she started it, which is fucking nuts. Anyway, the book is called The Blacker the Berry, and this is a summary by Wallace Thurman. This is just one of the books written in the early 1900s. This one specifically was written in 1929, published in 1929. Now, Emma Lou Morgan is a black, I'm sorry, excuse me. Emma Lou Morgan is a blue, black-skinned, born in Boise, Idaho, to a light-skinned mother and a very dark-skinned black father. She learns very early in her life about the intricacies, intricacies of colorism. Her mother is of European ancestry, and her grandmother is known as blue vein, which means that her skin was pale enough to see her veins. Emmylou's mother believes that having blue-black skin will hold her back in life. Perhaps if she had a boy, it would not have mattered. But being a girl, Emmylou hates being a girl when she hears this and wishes she had been born a boy. She believes that if she was a boy, then she might not have been subjected to the skin lotions, potions, scrubs, and dyes that her mother's side of the family put on her skins in attempts to lighten it. After all, this is what the commercials tell them they will do. Emmylou stands out like a sore thumb, and she's miserable. At home, she is too dark. At school, she's the only black student amongst a sea of white faces. At graduation, she feels self-conscious because of her color and does not feel the sense of accomplishments that she would on the day of her graduation. Emmylou's uncle believed in his niece's potential and also thinks that rather that Emma lose color holding her back, it is her mother's attitude towards her color that is proving hard to overcome. He encourages her to attend the University of Southern California. There will be other black students there, and she won't feel so different. He also believes she should study education and then, once qualified, should go to a larger, more southern city to be a teacher. Uncle Joe believes that Boise is such a small town that mentally, that it's totally wrong for Emma. Her mother's family are too wrapped up in who is darker than whom and what the darkness of their color means for them socially. Perhaps if she was in a bigger city where people have more to occupy their thoughts, things would be different and she could escape this silly prejudice. So it's registration day in her new university, and the new start dawns for Emmylou. She wants to start off on the right foot, and that includes becoming friendly with the right people. She gravitates towards another student, Hazel Mason, but quickly realizes she is lower class and not the right people at all. Other female students are friendly enough, but nobody really invites Emmylou to join them. She is never asked to join anyone for lunch or to study together, and the sorority doors remain closed to her. Many girls saw her talking to Hazel and are giving her a wide berth because of that. Hazel isn't at school very long before dropping out. And Hazel is another dark-skinned girl in this book. Emmylou becomes friendly with a sorority girl named Grace Giles. Grace tells her that she will never make it into the sorority because they only invite lighter skinned girls to join. So much for Uncle Joe's theory. Emma Lou is beginning to notice that successful men have lighter skinned wives or girlfriends. She feels imprisoned in her skin because it is the only one thing she cannot change, and one thing that she sees as preventing her from living the life she is capable of. Despite coming into contact with many young men at the college, it is not until she gets home to Boise that Emma Lou gets a serious boyfriend. His name is Weldon Taylor, and they meet at a picnic. Despite her promise to herself to find a light skinned man, she is attracted to Weldon, despite the fact he is darker skinned than she would have liked. Emma Lou thinks she's in love and sleeps with him. She remains obsessed with him despite his unusual lifestyle. He dropped out of college temporarily so that he can work a job of two to earn his next year of tuition. This work involves moving from town to town like sailors. Weldon has a girl in every port. When he leaves Boise to take a job as a train porter, Emma Lou once again thinks her dark skin has impacted her life. Theorizing that he would never have left a light-skinned girl, she graduates from USC and decides to move to New York. Now, Emma Lou is positive that in New York City she would not suffer from the effects of colorism and that she will find success on her own merits. She signs up with an employment agency, padding out her resume to give the appearance of work experience as a stenographer. The owner of the agency, Mrs. Blake, sends her out on a couple of interviews, but when Emma Lou gets there, she is told that the job is already earmarked for somebody else. Mrs. Blake admits that black businessmen prefer to hire pretty light-skinned girls as their stenographers and assistants. She becomes the second person to recommend that Emma Lou becomes a teacher, suggesting she attend Columbia Teachers College and applying for a job in the public school system. Despite her college degree, Emma Lou discovers that the only way she can stay in New York City for a little longer is working as a maid to an actress in a melodrama that she doesn't think is particularly good. The actress Arlene Strange takes Emma Lou to her first cabaret show, introduces her to her brothers, and shows her how to dance. Emma Lou seems particularly drawn to the dancing, and a man from another table invites her up on the dance floor. Later that evening, the man Alva and his roommate Braxton are talking about their night out at the cabaret, and both conclude that with her having such blue-black skin, Alva did her a favor dancing with her. Emma Lou sees Alva again by happenstance when she goes to a casino one evening. He is pleasant and polite, telling her that he remembers her from the cabaret. He gives her his phone number, and when she calls, they make a plan to go out, which irritates Braxton, who thinks his friend could do much better than Emma Lou. Alva tells him she is just as worthy as any other girls they know, then reminds him that the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, despite his protestations. Though it seems as if Alva is ashamed of Emma Lou, he never takes her out where they might be seen, and when he sees his friends, he takes a lighter-skinned girl along as his date. He finally relents and takes her to a Brent party, where they get into a heated discussion with other party guests about the difference between a mulatto and a Negro, and about colorism. Emma Lou returns home drunk, and this does not go down well with her landlady, who tells her that she has to find somewhere else to live. Emma Lou begins to remember details about the party, and when she thinks back on her behavior, agrees that her behavior was far below the standard that she should expect for herself. She also starts rethinking her feelings about Alva. She likes him, and he is always kind to her, but she knows he has a reputation for being a ladies' man. Alva is also a manipulator and a bit of a con artist. Braxton moves out of their flat, which puts him in a quandary. He has never paid rent. Braxton did that, and now he doesn't have any money. He doesn't want Emma Lou to move in with him either. So this is, you listen to this stuff, And I mean, this book is long as hell. That was just a small excerpt. And this is something that's been out for years and years and years. Mind you, this book was written in 1920 and published in 1929. And this is not the only author in that time that wrote such stories like this. There's like a million of them. Rashida Strober, read the book. I might think that you did read some of it already. I mean, you have a degree in science and all this crap and history and all that stuff. So I know you saw all this. I know you saw it. And you just took bits and pieces from every author from back in that time and you shoved it into yours and you're claiming it now. So if this was already spoken in 1929 and before, black girl in school getting ostracized because of her dark skin, light-skinned men don't like the dark-skinned girls back in that day. Even dark-skinned men back in that day, they prefer to hang out with a light-skinned girl because that was what people expected of them. Yeah, deep colorism. Rashida, how the hell did you start this? What, did you go back in a time machine? Or, I mean, your claims and that little piece you wrote to me telling me that you were the first. Matter of fact, I still have it. You erased it, Rashida, but you know what? When you write something to somebody on YouTube, you can erase it on your end and from the public, but it still stays in my inbox. And Rashida Strober wrote, the fact is that I started the first movement to eradicate darkism and colorism. The movement I started, it's called dark skin activism. Dark skin activism is the first movement in the history to end. That's where it ends, because I can't read the rest of it because you erased it, but it stays right there. You started the movement to eradicate darkism and colorism. Number one, darkism, you made that up. There was nothing called darkism in 1864 and 1929. The original terms were like shadeism and color struct. Darkism is something you made up to claim colorism. I've been telling you that a million freaking times. You even say it right here. I started the movement to eradicate darkism and colorism. Darkism is colorism. That's the same thing. You just change the name. So that's just one of the books that I'm schooling you on. That's just one. The day I interview you, I hope you're ready and I hope you have the right answers, you know, because this ain't gonna be no debate. This is gonna be an interview, and it's an interview like you never had before in your life. This has been building up for about 7 years for me now, and I know exactly what I'm gonna ask you. I have it all written down already, and until the day that I do actually, because you sent me an email to contact you when you said set it up, I'm gonna set it up. I'm not fucking around here. I'm serious. And you have a lot of things to answer for. See, if you can just talk about this stuff without trying to claim it and disregard everybody else, and then the women that speak of colorism today, you're telling them to give you credit. Why should they give you credit? They should give those people credit from back in 1800s up to the 1900s. You know, give credit to the Guy Thurman, the one who wrote that book. Give credit to Alice Walker, which you never do. Who the hell are you for them to give you credit for speaking about something you didn't start? Come on. Let's be real. Delusions of grandeur is a fucking terrible thing. Anyways, read that book, Rashida. You'll see a lot of the shit you say in that book alone. In that book alone, it has 80% of the shit you talk about. Published in 1929 And I know you know this. And I wouldn't be shocked if you read that book. I wouldn't, because you got your information from somewhere, and it was from one of those people. Those people is where you got your information from. But to claim it as your own, holy shit, that is some pretty desperate stuff to get ahead. And then want credit. You want credit? Please. Eddie Barrios, please.